Newbie Sports is back to the old wall because I still can't figure out how lighting works or sound works. Didn't really like the setup of my last video. It's gonna look different for the time being until I figure out what's going on. And I got my screen here, making me look like a ghost, making me look like some. Yeah, I can't figure out lighting. Feel free to roast me in the comments. But today we're going over the Sun Belt and the SEC. It's going to be a little quicker video today because I don't really have an anecdote to go on. Last couple days I haven't really noticed anything that I want to contribute on. We have the AP poll. I don't really have that many objections to the AP poll other than it just demonstrates the SEC bias that I think is unfounded. Look at every other channel that's talking about this and you'll see the exact same comments that I would make. And then conference realignment stuff. Cool. Maybe the conference realignment is going to happen more with the Protect College Sports Act. Maybe. I don't know. I don't have anything that I feel the need to contribute on those topics. If you'd like my thoughts on those things, leave a comment down below and I can give you my 2 cents. It'll be like a 5-minute video. But no anecdote today. We're just going to jump right into predictions. We're beginning with the Sun Belt. And, also, I am unsure if I gave UConn's prediction when I did the Independents. I think I just did Notre Dame. So, just in case, UConn is going to go 4-8. Sorry, UConn. But there's UConn's prediction. And now, on to the Sun Belt. So, the Sun Belt. Bottom of the Sun Belt is 3-9 UL Monroe, 1-7 in conference. Appalachian State is going to be 4-8, also 1-7 in conference. Get one more non-conference win than UL Monroe. Old Dominion is going to come up next, 3-9 overall, but 2-6 in conference. Louisiana is next, 3-9, 2-6, tying with Old Dominion. Southern Miss is next, 4-8, but 2-6. Still conference tied with them, but the overall record is larger. Marshall, 4-8 also, but 3-5. And tied with them is Arkansas State, 5-7 overall record, 3-5 in conference. Louisiana Tech is going to go 6-6, 5-3 overall. Also going 6-3 and 5-3 in the conference is Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern's going to be next. Climbing up the rail, we have the top 5 in the Sun Belt. Troy is going to go 7-5, 5-3 in conference. Coastal Carolina coming in at number 4, also 7-5, 5-3 in conference. And then Georgia State is going to be coming up next, 9-3 overall, 6-2 in conference. And then both teams undefeated in conference play, having not played against each other until the Sun Belt Conference Championship game, is going to be South Alabama and James Madison. South Alabama coming in first with a 10-2 record going into this game. They're going to lose 2 out of conference games. And if you hear the AC, there's the AC. But hey, it's the summer. We got to have the AC. And I'll figure out a sound system that will deal with not the AC when you can hear it on the videos. Feel free to roast me in the comments. James Madison going 12-0 this regular season. I do think they have what it takes to go undefeated. Let's take a look at their season. So, James Madison against Liberty could be a decent game, but I do think they win that one. Wagner, JMU's going to win that one. South Dakota State University, JMU's going to win that one. Old Dominion, JMU. They're hosting Marshall. JMU's going to win that. Georgia Southern. At this time, I have Georgia Southern going 2-3 overall. Not the biggest heave of momentum for that point in the season. So I think James Madison goes in there and takes it over. Georgia State. Unless my acronym's wrong, I don't have the logos on my software yet. I don't have the rights to have the logos on the software yet. I don't know if I need the rights. If I absolutely have to have the rights to those, please leave a comment down below. I don't want to get in super trouble. But I'm pretty sure that you can use the logo if you're talking about the school. I mean, I have had this on my hat forever. So there's that. But Georgia State, coming into JMU, I think JMU comes out on top there. JMU against App State. App State's 500 at that point. They're going to win. They're hosting Troy. Troy's another decent team, but I think JMU wins that one. And then USM, UConn, Coastal Carolina, University of South Alabama. Yeah. So, University of South Alabama, that is conference championship week against JMU. So, yeah. There are my 2 picks to go to the conference championship game. Yeah. So, JMU against... and my screen went away there. But yeah, JMU is going to go into the conference championship undefeated against University of South Alabama. University of South Alabama. 10-2 for South Alabama, 12-0 for James Madison. Now, we're going to go over the SEC. Before I get into the SEC, let me give my spiel. I've been going in the order that I have been because I do think there is a fairly demonstrative pecking order to the Power 4 conferences. I think the ACC is fairly unquestionably at the bottom, not because of their tops, but because of the conference overall. I think the Big 12 has a deeper conference than the ACC. The ACC has some very good teams, as is evident by Miami going to the national championship game last year, when everyone was crying about how they were included in the first place. That's the way you demonstrate that you're supposed to be there, by going to the games you're scheduled for and winning. Good job, Miami. But yeah, ACC, Big 12, and then today I'm going to talk about the SEC, because I don't think they're better than the Big 10. I think the SEC might be deeper than the Big 10 is, but their tops are not better than the Big 10's tops. Sorry. They're just not. And we'll get to this in my playoff predictions as well. Not as many participants in the college football playoffs this year as last year. Sorry, not sorry. Even though I have a fairly open disdain against the SEC, I do have these things called eyes. No, the SEC is not a horrible conference full of horrible teams. I think they're overrated. I think that they don't deserve as much praise as they get, but they deserve praise. They're not a conference full of rubes. They're good programs and good teams. So I think that we're going to go through this, and I think it's going to be fair. I think that I could be wrong about quite a few of these predictions, but I think it's going to be fair. So let's get into the SEC. Coming at the bottom of the SEC, I don't think anyone's surprised by this one, Mississippi State. I have them going 2-10 overall with not a single win in SEC play. Sorry, guys. Next, I have Arkansas at 3-9. Sorry, Razorbacks, this is not the year. I think you're going to win one game overall in SEC play, going in 1-8 into your season. Now, here is where I might get the most pushback out of any of my predictions. Coming in at third to last in the ACC, in the SEC, I have Vanderbilt. Yes, that Vanderbilt. 4-8 overall with 2-7 in conference. I think their schedule's harder this year. I think they got a weaker team this year, and with their star quarterback from last year going away, we'll see what that kid's career is going to be like. It was really hard to vote for that kid, to root for that kid close to the end of the season. Man, it's Johnny Football all over again. But we'll see how he does. Yeah, and next might get a little bit more pushback. This team got to the playoffs last year. I don't think they're going to have a winning record this year. Just with how their schedule is, I don't think it happens. Tennessee, 5-7 overall for Tennessee. 3-6 in conference. Below, tied with, actually, Kentucky. 5-7, 3-7 overall. I just went through the schedule, and I'm like, I don't know. But yeah, Vanderbilt and Tennessee, I could be the most wrong about with this whole list. But I don't know. Anyways, above Kentucky, we have just barely breaking over 500, Florida, going 7-5 overall, but under 500 in conference, 4-5. Tied with Florida, we have Auburn, going 7-5, 4-5. Slightly above them, with in-conference play, we have 3 teams tied for the next spot in the SEC, and y'all are gonna freak. You are all going to freak at me. The more that I go up this list, I'm like, I could be wrong about that. Tied for the next spots on the list, we have Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. This is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th place in the SEC. 3 teams tied for 6th place. Going 7-5 overall. 5-4 in SEC play. Missouri, Oklahoma, and Texas. The only reason anybody's rooting for Texas is voting for Texas because they got Sarkisian and a Manning. I think Manning kind of laid a bunch of eggs last year. And I think he got very lucky with some of the games to end up with as few losses as they did. Maybe he got better. I don't know. Just because he's got a Manning last name doesn't mean that he should have been the leader of this football team. I don't know. We will see how he does. I'm willing to be completely wrong about all 3 of these teams. Less so Missouri, because I think Missouri's a lot more on that trajectory than Oklahoma or Texas. It's just the schedule. I went over the schedule, and I'm like, I don't think they're going to win this game. And this is just how it ended up. So, yeah, my SEC and Big Ten predictions are probably going to be the least accurate of any of my predictions this season. So, Texas, Oklahoma, and Missouri. Tied with them in conference play, but one more non-conference win, we have South Carolina and Alabama. I have Alabama and South Carolina both going 8-4 overall, and then 5-4 in conference. I have both of them losing 4 conference games. South Carolina is probably going to be closer to the bottom of the list than it currently is. It's they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're 6th, so the other teams were tied for 7th. So South Carolina is at South Carolina and Alabama are technically at the 5th place spot because they're tied with each other, but South Carolina could be deep lower down the list than we currently have them. Alabama, I don't see it happening. I don't see they have a better roster. I don't think that their new coach coming in from Washington is the savior of Alabama, the next Nick Saban, and a lot of Alabama fans are expecting him to be. That's not a fair expectation. That doesn't set anybody up for success. So we'll see how that happens. Next, with 8-4 overall and 6-3 in SEC play, you guys are going to freak at me with this one too. LSU is next. 4 losses for Lane Kiffin's LSU. Yeah, you got Lane Kiffin. What else do you have? I still find that game with LSU against Houston, where they spent like 20 minutes of in-game time talking to Lane Kiffin, to be one of the most offensive things I've seen in a bowl game. And if you can hear the lawnmower outside, that's just the kind of production we have here until we can up our budget. Please like and subscribe so I can do that. But LSU coming in and losing to Houston. Houston's a good team, but losing to Houston in the manner they did and having a lot of the game be cut away to talk to Lane Kiffin, the incoming coach, who has nothing to do with the team up to that point. It was ridiculous, and it was so absurd. I think Lane Kiffin and the LSU Tigers are not going to do horrible this year. 8-4 is not a horrible season. They're not getting into the playoffs, though, with 4 losses. And you know the next 3 teams. With 9-3, 7-2 in SEC play, I have Texas A&M. A lot of people are underrating Texas A&M. I think that's valid. I also think that with how their schedule pans out, they could do a lot of magic. They could do a lot of magic. Second place in the SEC. It's only going to be 1 or 2 teams. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? With 1 loss overall and 1 loss in conference play, we have Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to lose 1 game, and I think that's going to be to Georgia. Let's look at their schedule to see if they're tied. And then Georgia coming in at 12-0 overall, 9-0 in conference play. It's going to make Georgia versus Ole Miss the SEC championship game. We'll get to my prediction about how that game goes later. But Ole Miss, just pull up their schedule. The only loss I have them to is Georgia. I think that I think that could be flipped. That Ole Miss can go undefeated, and the only loss that Georgia has is to Ole Miss, because it is at Ole Miss. I do think Georgia is an established program, and I do think Georgia that it's been an excellent program, excellent coach, they excellent recruiting. They're the most consistent team in the SEC right now. I think that's fairly indisputable. But Ole Miss is not something to sniff to turn up your nose at. Ole Miss and Georgia could flip. But I do think it's going to be both of them in the SEC championship game, no matter who wins that matchup against them. So, there are my predictions. What are you outraged about? What do you think I'm just so off base about? Was it Texas? Was it Oklahoma? Was it both of those? Was it Tennessee? Do you think Vanderbilt is going to at least break 500 this season? I don't think it's going to happen. But, yeah, those are my predictions for the Sun Belt and the SEC. Which means our last conferences are going to be talked about next game, including the Big Ten and the other 2 Group of 6. And after that, we'll get to postseason predictions in the preseason, in my final preseason video, as in my 5-part prediction series. What do you like? What do you not like? Please be outraged. Please express what I'm getting wrong. I just looked at the schedule, and we'll see where the chips fall, and we'll see how wrong I was at the end of the season. Leave your predictions down below. And this has been Newbie Sports.